Hey everybody, this is Don again from North of Detroit Outdoors. Thanks for joining me. It's good to see you again. Today's video is a follow-up of sorts from my last video, my 1-year review of the Lone Wolf Assault Hand Climber from several months ago. In that video, I gave 4 criteria describing why this stand was perfect for me. And I received quite a few comments and questions from people watching on YouTube who wanted to know a little bit more about the stand. So I've decided to make another video. Some people wondered about the gear that I use. Some people wanted to see me actually climb a tree. And I even received questions from people that I know personally who are considering whether or not they should switch from their ladder stand or from their hang-on stand with sticks to a climber such as mine. So we're going to get into that right now. We're going to answer some questions, have a little fun. So thanks again for joining me on North of Detroit Outdoors. Let's get into it. Okay, one of the first things that people wanted to know was the type of gear that I use, namely my harness when I'm climbing a tree. Now, there is a harness that comes with the tree stand, but it's one of those one-size-fits-all jobs that is just a web of straps, very confusing. I trashed that one right away because it just wasn't going to be easy to use. And I went with something that was an aftermarket strap. Now, I went with the Muddy brand. Now, one thing I'm not is brand conscious. I don't care about brand necessarily. What I want is something that works well and is cost effective. This one was about $50. It's fully adjustable, and so far it's worked very well for me. And when you're 25, 30 feet up in a climber, you want to make sure that you trust your gear. Muddy has a very good reputation in this industry, and I went with them. But I'm sure there are other brands out there that are equally as good. But for me, it was all about price. So $50 for a Muddy harness, and it works well. One other thing that I want to mention is the tree strap that I use. Now, I started out, when I first started climbing a few years ago, I started out with this particular tree strap, and it worked okay. It was just fine. It's made of a seatbelt type material. And the problem with this one is that it was fairly short. So when I would try to tether to larger trees, many times I would have a very, very small tag end left. And when I would try to loosen, when it was time for me to go up or down the tree, I would try to loosen it just so I didn't pull that tag end out, because I definitely didn't want to become detached. And there were a couple times in doing that it did it became detached completely. And another thing is, you'll notice you have that metal to metal clanking sound. I didn't like that either. I dealt with it for a few years until I got to the point where I just didn't feel safe anymore using it on larger trees, and it limited where I could go. So I decided to do away with this one and upgrade to the Hunter Safety System tree rope with a prusik knot. And this works extremely well. One, because there's no metal to metal clanking, and two, it's much, much longer than the other one. So much so that I had to tie in just a knot at the very end, because at this length it works for most trees that I climb. So the way this works is you take your hole on this side of the rope, you put the whole package right through it, you cinch it up around a tree, and then you take your prusik knot and you put that as close to the tree as possible. And you tether right to this black portion of the rope. Tighten up. And this works, this knot, when there's no pressure being applied to it, it moves very, very easily. But as soon as you apply pressure to it, it will not move whatsoever. So you're tethered to this. If you were to ever fall out of the tree, naturally you'd be applying pressure to it, but you won't fall because this knot cinches so tight against this rope here. So it's a really good solution, because as you're climbing, as you know, you're going to have to loosen and tighten your tree rope multiple times going up and down the tree, because this is so easy to move, to loosen and tighten. This was just a huge upgrade for me. I love it. This is one of the best purchases that I could have made when climbing, because it makes my life so much easier. So I highly recommend the Hunter Safety System tree rope with the prusik knot. It was about $25. Okay, now let's get into the tree. But before I do, I always do one very important thing before I climb any tree, and that's tether my phone to me. Now, I've put on my hand muff, and I love this hand muff because it allows me to carry anything that I need that's essential, that's small, in these pockets. And I carry my phone in here. But also, I have this elastic band. I think I got this from a Christmas present or something like that. It's an elastic band. And also on my phone, I have a ring that allows me to carry my phone without dropping it. So I take this elastic band, I put it through the ring, and then I loop it over itself. And then I take this end of the string and I loop it in on the loop on my hand muff. Loop it over itself, and that way, if for some reason while I'm using my phone and I drop it, I can always recover it. And anyone who's ever hunted from a tree knows that dropping something is like the worst thing you can do. Now, if you're in a ladder stand, it's not so bad because you can climb down, grab what you need, and climb back up pretty quickly, pretty quietly. If you're on a hang-on stand with climbing sticks, it's a bit more of a burden, but you can climb down, climb back up. If you're at 25 feet in a climber and you drop something, the only way to get what you need is to climb back down, grab it, tether it to yourself, and then climb back up. Now, this can completely disrupt a hunt if you're trying to get in early, quickly, quietly. So this is something that I always do. And the most important reason I do this is because it's for safety. If I'm ever in a situation where I need to contact someone for help and I don't have my phone with me because it's dropped to the ground, I'm up a creek. So I always do this before I climb. All right, let's get in the tree. In this segment, I'll demonstrate how I actually climb a tree. In my last video, I demonstrated how I attach the tree stand to the tree, so I won't show that again here. It is important, however, to ensure the climber base is angled upward to accommodate for the tree narrowing. As you climb, it will eventually level out. My first step is to attach the tree rope. Then I use the carabiner to attach my harness to the tree rope. I place the rope as high as I can, as this reduces the number of times I'll have to reposition it as I ascend up the tree. Ideally, I should be able to move the bottom platform 2 times before I have to reposition the rope. For anyone considering the Lone Wolf tree stand in the hand climber configuration, you should be aware that you must be able to support your entire weight on your forearms to climb. Although not very physically demanding, it is not for everyone. If this may be a problem, I'd suggest a different configuration, perhaps a stand that allows you to sit and climb. As you climb, you'll likely need to tighten the seat portion as the tree narrows. This is easily done by opening the clamp and moving the traction belt in and then closing the clamp. The seat portion of the stand is very light and can be easily dislodged from the tree. It's a good idea to press it firmly to engage the teeth. Also, try not to bump the seat as you reposition the rope, as it will likely fall down to the base, causing considerable noise. When you get to your desired height, you'll want to reposition the seat closer to the base and tighten the straps. The tension in the straps keeps each piece from becoming dislodged accidentally. You'll notice I just went up and down the tree fairly easily. One thing you will notice as I go down the tree, typically when this strap gets a lot of slack in it, like it is right now, when this seat gets closer to the base, sometimes this strap will wrap around this knob, and when you try to extend down, it'll restrict you. It's not a big deal. You just have to take your time and just kind of kick this out to the side so it's not hooked under the knob. Okay, I've added a few frames here just to show how my boots fit under the articulated bracket. I do this because some have inquired about whether or not their boots with an oversized toe would have problems with this particular climber. Now I wear a size 11 boot without an oversized toe, and it works perfectly. Hopefully this helps. Okay everybody, it's really as simple as that. So I hope this video was beneficial to you in that it provided just a little bit more insight into the Lone Wolf Assault Hand Climber. And I'm hoping that you'll be able to make some determinations as to whether or not it's the right stand for you. Naturally, there are lots of stands out there. This is just the one that fits me perfectly because it allows me to get really nice and high. It allows me to get in those trees quickly and quietly. And in this year, in 2020, the hunting season already, it's been paying dividends in that I've harvested 2 doe from it already. No bucks yet, but you know, there's still a lot of season left. So please continue to leave your questions and your comments. I love interacting with you guys. And I'm looking forward to even producing more content on a more regular basis, not waiting so long in between videos. But thanks again so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon on North of Detroit Outdoors.